Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are going to be watching this. And I am dropping this for the purpose of somebody that has been destined, that will listen to this and will be liberated. And like I said, this liberation movement and fight is a fight to finish. I know that it is not everybody that will be liberated, but please, if you come across this video, listen without sentiment and think. Bible says in Joel 2 verses 28, 29 and 30, and I'll paraphrase, you can go and read it. Joel chapter 2 verses 28, 29 and 30. You can read it in English, you can read it in Yoruba language. What is he saying? That in the last days shall come to pass that the biblical God will pour out his spirit on all flesh. Old men, young men, women, slaves, maid servants, everybody. Meaning that everybody is supposed to carry the spirit of the biblical God and be able to communicate with him and be able to do everything that every other person can do. And it is expected that if this were to be true, you do not need any intermediary, you do not need any middleman. Then my question now is, why do the likes of Baba Adeboye, Oyedepo Kumuyi, all of them, why do they make you feel that it is only them that this biblical God speaks with? If you followers are not deaf and you are not lazy to discover your true selves, if you are not being mentally derailed, if you are not so uncalm, unrest, then you will realize that the confusion that is coming from the book as against what these good for nothing men make you to understand, you will see that it is even what a primary school kid will realize and say something is wrong somewhere. You say that whatever Bible says is the final. When we post something, you say Bible says, Bible says. Now we are bringing the Bible to you. Why do you sit down endlessly under a man who is wasting your time, your precious time, on various programs, claiming that he hears God, he hears the biblical God, when it is written there that in the last days, his spirit will be on our flesh? Now, what is the importance of the spirit of the biblical God in you when you still have to continue to run after one daddy GO or bishop or the likes of Taiwo Ojo? I saw a video of Taiwo Ojo about a few days ago as he was standing beside the river praying. He's sitting inside opened rock praying, destroying lives the more, drawing people into madness and laziness the more. And if at the current dispensation where social media allows us to see things in a video that is edited, you see the Chinese children, they are working, they are doing engineering stuff, they are doing some basic hand skills, learning hand skills from elementary ages, as against our own children that are praying. And if this is as an adult seated under a man who calls himself a man of God, if this is you are saying is not making you to think, is not making you to be hungry, then you are sick. That we are already tutoring our children into believing that it is prayer that works. And unfortunately, we all sentimentally refuse to realize that all these men of God put together, they are mentally not okay. They will not tell you the truth because they are psychologically sick. The kind of sickness that makes them to always want to control others. The kind of sickness that makes them to always want to see people bow down to them. It is a sickness. But because we don't bother about our mental and psychological health in Nigeria and Africa, you don't know that these people are sick. And when you seated under a man of God, you Redeem members, you Winners members, you Deeper Life members, you MFM members, CAC members, all of you put together, because you are in the same business. Now let's assume that the story of the death of Jesus is true, and you are not worried that these men have reduced that death to nothing but material things, and you call yourself a Christian. What kind of a Christian are you? And this is the fight we are fighting. This is the liberation we are bringing. Before we now begin to feed you with solid meals, you have to first know that Bible, and it makes it difficult for some of us to even relate with you, because that Bible itself, you do not know it. Because you said that if that biblical God says something, it is the final. Then why is it not final in this scenario that he says he will pour out his spirit on you? Then why do you need endless programs? You too, you are not stupid. It's because you are also a thief. You are also a lazy entity. You have failed to discover who you truly are. And if they establish some fact, you are more powerful, you are more useful than these men that are wasting your time. And lastly, I will say this: in this 2024, when are you, these pastors, going to stop these endless, useless, meaningless, time-wasting programs? Because you know that àwọn wèrè tó ń tẹ̀lé yín wọ́n máa wà ní ṣá. And the time they are supposed to spend in taking care of their children, in tutoring their children, in making sure that they become friends with their children, ẹ ti gba àsìkò yẹn lọ́wọ́ wọn in all these endless services. Ẹ̀yin lẹ máa gbé fasting and prayer lọ́jọ́ 100 sílẹ̀ ọgọ́rùn-ún ọjọ́ 30 days 40 days bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń gbà káàkiri láwọn kófùn sí yín nìyẹn. Kò sọ́nà tá a ṣe ní pé ẹ̀yin bàbá yìí ló lórí burúkú. Because I sat down, I took a journey into the capacity of the brain. The work I do, I was doing some work around sometimes ago, and I was looking at the complexity, yet easy and simple to use, the air brake systems of locomotives. How the air brake systems work, on rail cars. And it could only be that some people utilize the brain capacity that God has given them. What about the flying of aeroplanes? What about the things we can use our resources to do in Africa? Unfortunately, ẹ̀yin bàbá ẹ ti bà ayé generation jẹ́, such that our children are supposed to be thinking outside the box. They cannot do any research, they cannot do any thinking, but they can spend hours and days on mountains praying. Do you know many men that are praying, wasting time now? They want to be like Adeboye, because the real God has not revealed to them who Adeboye is, who Oyedepo is, who Kumuyi is, who Olukoya is. And I want to ask you, such men, when you have that kind of capacity, is it not the same thing that Olukoya is doing that you're going to be doing? That when somebody sees your secret, you will imprison them for 9 good years. That when you become such a man like Adeboye, you are going to be even doing worse than Adeboye and reducing the blood of that your Jesus even to monetary aspects. And I ask you people lastly, after gathering, after buying down to you men, to you pastors, to you GOs and you these useless men, after buying down to you, after all the money, what next? I leave you with that question. What next? And if heaven and hell are truly real, is this how you are going to make it to that heaven? I am asking you, because what you do not have, you cannot give. To whom much is given, much is expected. Liberation all the way to you followers, that this 2024 must liberate you and give you peace of mind, like so many of us are enjoying. My name remains Rotimi Daniel. Ire o.